Yo, what's up? I'ma kick it with the line, y'all know. Yo, Slim, can I kick it like this? Here we go. Well, it's time to make that change. People of the world today are fading. All of us have our ups and downs. You better think about it or you won't be around. What we need is a little bit of love, sent by one from heaven up above. Chicken from tea is simple and plain. This ain't no game, you know what I'm saying? What? Yep, yep. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Yo, Mob, kick it for me one time.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth.
Yep.
We need to stand up and fight, walk into the light. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith. But we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when, but it's coming back again.
About that time.
You know it. We are the people who can do it. Choice is up to you.
It's about that time. Yo, Mob, kick it for me one more time.
It's Jesus is spreading mighty fast. Earthquakes are moving through the land. It ain't nothing but a sign that it make up our mind. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith. We just live it day by day. Don't know when, don't know when, but it's coming back again.
About that time, y'all. Here we go. Well, it's time to make that change. People of the world today are fading. All of us have our ups and downs. You better think about it or you won't be around. What we need is a little bit of love, sent by one from heaven up above. Take a from tea, it's simple and plain. This ain't no game, you know what I'm saying?
I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just a test of our faith. We're living day by day. Don't know when, don't know when, but it's coming back.
Here we go. It's about that time, y'all. That's right.
Choice is yours.
About that time. Yep, yep.
Happy Monday to each of you, and thank you for joining our show, Perspective. We are always delighted and excited that each of you, have taken time out of your busy schedule to join us because we do realize that you don't have to be here. So we thank each of you for joining us. And if you're watching right now, good evening to everyone. We want you to like, tag, and share. Like, tag, and share. Like, tag, and share. And this is how we're going to do it tonight. We're actually going to I'm still here, but I think I am causing just a little bit of delay. Give me 1 second. We can get that squared away. All right, this is new stuff, but we are thankful for. Okay, okay. I hope everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. I'm having some connectivity issues. I am working to get back in place as soon as possible, and we will definitely be back on. Having a little bit of problems with my camera actually and my mic, but we're working to get everything back in place so that we can begin with our show. So again, we want to thank everyone for watching tonight, and we would ask that you would like, tag, and share to know tonight's show. It's going to be a very great show. Um, we have two awesome guests tonight that were in the primaries for the Birmingham City Council municipal elections, which were held on Tuesday, August the 24th. And they are back tonight, actually. They're back tonight. And we're just excited that they're back. And we're going to talk about um, their visions, their goals, talk about their journey, because I believe that anytime when we have race like these races are very inspiring, and it just inspires everybody to um, never give up on your dreams. Keep going and don't stop no matter what adversities you face. So we just want you to keep going. And before we start tonight, this is something that I'll do every week. I have a lot of people to ask me, how do I come up with the music that I play? As we know, I'm a Christian. I think everybody knows that. But I do recognize that everyone who watches our show is not in the church, or you're not Christians. So all of the music that you hear will always be R&B or inspirational. So tonight we wanted to go back to Detroit, and both of these songs came out in the 80s. They're both by gospel artists, but you could hear a little bit of the R&B flavor. The first song was Keep Moving by the Clark Sisters, which featured all five Clark sisters. And then the next song is Time to Make a Change. Me and my guests, we were back here jamming backstage. That actually featured Teddy Riley. So just kind of wanted to give you all a little bit of inspiration before we started tonight. So I'm not going to delay the hour. I'm going to go ahead and get started. We'll bring our guest in. Our first guest tonight, she is a phenomenal woman. Many of you probably have already heard of her. I'm just blessed to be able to know her and be in her company. Her name is Miss LaTonya Tate, and she is in the runoff for Birmingham City Council District 9. And LaTonya, if you can unmute yourself for me. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Well, if you can turn your other device off, that way we won't hear that feedback. And then while we're getting her situated, I'll go ahead and bring my second guest in. This is Mr. Jonathan Moore. He goes by JT. He is in the runoff for City Council District 4. We'll go ahead and bring him in. And whenever you, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. How y'all doing?
Good. Thank you both for joining us. And LaTonya, when you can get that get unmuted, we're gonna go ahead and get started because I'm not gonna delay the hour. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this conversation. So, and she popped out, so hopefully we can get her back in. But
Yeah.
Tonight, so we've had the professional forum candidate forums, but tonight we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk serious business, but then we're gonna have fun at the end. So how I'm gonna start, um We're going to start with LaTonya. We're going to let you introduce yourself and tell people um, a little bit about you and your experience. And you can take it away.
Hello, listening audience. Thank you, JaPaul, for having me. Hi, JT.
Hey,
Uh, I am LaTonya Tate. I am the CEO and founder of the Alabama Justice Initiative, an organization that focuses on criminal justice advocacy work. We strategically focus on policy and advocacy work in centering the voices of directly impacted people and formerly incarcerated people and community people. And my son is formerly incarcerated, so this is what brings me to this work. I'm a retired probation and parole officer, formerly with the Florida Department of Corrections, for nearly a decade. I attended Phillips High School. Hello to all the Red Raiders out there. I'm a graduate of the University of Phoenix, where I hold a bachelor's and a master's in criminal justice, and a graduate of Grand Canyon University, where I hold a master's in public administration with an emphasis in public administration policy and government. And so I'm just grateful to be here, on this journey, and this role to city council. You want me to tell about how I got here, or you want me to keep proceeding?
That's enough because I think some of my questions are going to highlight that, but we'll come back to you in a second. And JT, you can take it away.
yes. Hello, everyone. JaPaul, thank you so much again for having me here tonight. Yeah, so as he said, my name is JT Moore, running for City Council in District 4. Just a little bit about me. I am about all things community. I had an opportunity to start up a nonprofit organization called Words on Wheels Bus, where we have taken a school bus that has been converted into a mobile library in order to go around the different neighborhoods and, inspire kids to want to read. I'm one who really believes that, if we want to educate our kids, we have to make it entertaining. And so one of the things that I started doing was, rapping stories to kids over like a little baby beat and, just making it something that was cool for them. And, just I've always been involved, like I said, in the community. I had an opportunity to work at A.G. Gaston Boys and Girls Club for 7 or 8 years. And I'm a graduate of Minor High School, had an opportunity to attend Huffman as well, and played football at Tuskegee, and yeah, all the things. But one of the things that led me here to run for this position is just seeing the turmoil and trouble that has been going on in my community of South Woodlawn, seeing the drugs, seeing the prostitution, and really feeling like there's more that could be done to address those things, and realizing that a lot could be changed and addressed from the city council position. And the current person that we have there is not willing to do it. And so I was always told that, your greatest frustration is a problem that you're here to solve. And so that's what I'm doing, solving that problem by addressing the frustration. So thank you.
All right, and before I go back to Tanya, so I did not know you were a fellow Viking. So everybody knows in the city of Birmingham, all great things come from the Huffman Vikings. So yeah, that's enough said.
Yeah.
So LaTonya, we'll go back to
In
you.
the circle building. I'm sorry, I just got to say that. You know what I'm saying? The circle.
The circle building. We like the new building, but it was just something about those circle dome buildings. So LaTonya, we'll go back to you, and I kind of want you to highlight briefly, as JT did, talk about what led you to run for city council, because as you said, working in the prison system, a lot of people would say, well, why would she want to do that and not do other things? But kind of talk about what led you to say, okay, this is my time, this is it.
Well, to be honest with you, I left Birmingham in '07. I was active, in the North Birmingham community, attending neighborhood meetings. And so the opportunity, came when I graduated and got offered a job with the state of Florida. And like I said, stayed gone for like a decade, but traveling back and forth, home in the process of away from here, just didn't see any change. I'm from the North Birmingham community, and a lot of people, may be familiar with North Birmingham. We're surrounded by, a lot of plants, a lot of pollution, just things that have affected our community. So I remember growing up and going, in North Birmingham, where we had a downtown district where York's drugstore still there, been there for like 70 years. And at that time, we had two grocery stores that people could shop at, which was Winn-Dixie and Consumer Foods. And so that was just a one-stop shop. You can eat, you can get your hair done, you can go get your medication, but it was just, we didn't have to leave out our community, to do anything. And so when I did decide to come back home, I just didn't see any change. But I'm actually walking in a prophetic message that was spoken to me over 20 years ago, that I will, venture into government and, go into, government and be in political offices. So this is just a prophetic mandate and an order that I'm on, an orchestrated plan by God. And so he's shown himself mightily, with me, running this race, strategically playing, made sure that I picked my core team in the circle, which was very small, and was able to walk me, to a runoff where we canvassed over 6,000 doors. And so I really, want to give homage and just pay and just lift my mom up, who's 74 years old, canvassing with me. She didn't do much walking, but she made sure that I got out here 6 days a week and did that. She was a ride in the car. She was, and I call her the drill sergeant, making sure that I got out here, and did, what I needed to do. And hard work, like JT says, it pays off. So I'm a person that, want to see change. When I walk these neighborhoods and saw the conditions that these neighborhoods are in, I was just, floored by, I'll give you an example. Like when you look at Hooper City, it looks like a third world country. When I saw a brand new library on Erie Street in Wylam, and it's surrounded by abandoned buildings. And so when I look at the downtown district of North Birmingham, the same thing as JT said, both counselors kind of share that district. And I just can't believe, that they did not, put together a plan or come up with something, to try to change the, the trajectory, the dynamics of what's going on. We have one grocery store. We got to go outside of North Birmingham to go to Fultondale, to go shopping, to go to Walmart.
So I'm going to stop you right there because you're getting into some of the questions that I'm going to ask you. I can do that to her. So we're going to come back to you in a minute because I know you're excited. So put a pause right there. I promise you. I got you. You're right.
Amen.
So Tracy, we're going to go to you. Like I said, you've been on this journey since okay, so start off. This is a two-part question. Tell us, when did you start doing the work? Because for those who don't understand, I've come in contact with several awesome people who ran for city council, mayor, school board. And even though these elections are in August, guess what, y'all? These people got to see y'all faces before June and July. If you really want to see great progress, you have to put in that work. So JT, start off by telling us, when did you start canvassing? And from pictures, I can tell you really did some serious canvassing.
So I started canvassing in March. Officially for my campaign. But I just got to tell you, like, I'm one of them nosy neighbors that, just walks around anyway. Like, I talk to everybody in my neighborhood. Like, I would be that person that just randomly pops up and walks on your street. And, if you just moved in, I'm like, hey, my name is JT. This is my wife. This is my kid, and because, that's just the type of household that I grew up in. Like, my grandparents, were just like really active in our community. And especially my grandmother, like she would always host like neighborhood cookouts and all kinds of stuff. And so it was nothing for us to, just meet a stranger and they become like family. And so that's something that I'd always done. And so for me, canvassing, that was the part I was excited about, because I'm just always curious as to who I'm going to meet, like what new person, what new face, what new story am I going to learn? And so officially for my campaign, I started canvassing in March. I think I announced on March the 13th, And since I had a lot of supporters out there, I was like, look, let's not waste all this good, energy in these legs. Like, let's get out here and knock on some doors. And so we left from the parking lot and went into the community and started knocking on doors, passing out flyers. Has been one of the most rewarding and depressing experiences I have, ever had. Rewarding from the standpoint of being able to, like I said, just meet some really good people, man. We have some really smart, some really committed and passionate people in our neighborhoods and in this city, and very talented people. But then we also have some very horrible issues and some very complex situations that we have to address. And I was able to see all of that firsthand by going out and knocking on doors and canvassing and talking to people. And so, it was, since March, been out here beating the streets and my shoes. I can show you my shoes to prove it, because them boys leaning hard. Hard.
And so the second part of a question, this is hilarious, and I'll tell you about why in a second before we come to Tate. You talked about the positive sides and the good parts, and I'm sure what was probably the most, I would say, one of the most challenging things you encountered that could cause you slight opposition? Because what I don't think people realize, we get faced with opposition all the time. It's just how we respond to it. So can I talk about that for a second?
So you said, hold on, ask it again.
One of the most challenging things that you encountered that may have caused you some opposition during this campaign.
So let me just say this. I think I'm kind of on the same page with, Sister Tate, in that, like, God has just really been good, and just giving me a lot of favor as I've been out here. I can't say that I've experienced just a lot of opposition.
Right.
I have seen and witnessed some things that, brought me some, I guess, pause from the standpoint of just being shocked and appalled at how some people are living. For instance, there was one house, not gonna give the neighborhood, but there was one house that, I was gonna skip over because the roof had caved in. There literally was no porch. Like, it looked abandoned. It looked like it was like one strong wind away from falling over. And lo and behold, 3 people were actually living in that house. And I was just like, wow, like, what, y'all live here? Like, do you all have running water? Do you have electric? And they're like, yeah, we just don't have the money to be able to make the repairs on our home. And, but this is where we are. Like, we getting the tarp put up, and, we're going, and that, that was very frustrating and sad to me, because I'm just like, man, like, you hear about these types of things, but to see people living like that, is very challenging, man. And it makes you want to go harder to find out what type of resources are available. What can we do in this position to alleviate that stress and that situation for that person, and why are they in that position in the first place? Now, granted, a city councilor can't solve all problems, and prayerfully, people don't expect us to, right? But at the same time, I think that it's important for us to be good stewards in trying to help in whatever way and area that we can. And so there were several instances like that that just really brought me some, had me taken aback, I'll say.
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right, Tate, you can come off mute. And so before I take this question, I laughed a little bit because I think this is the first time y'all have probably been on the same platform, because I know when I did mine, y'all are in different districts. Well, JT, what you did know, I found this out in talking to Tate. She also started canvassing in March. And those same rundown shoes that you talked about, she's had me hollering over those shoes so much so that she's going to get those shoes gold and bronze and is going to platform them so that they can be passed down to future generations. So kudos to both of you. Kudos to both of you, because you all are both testimonies to, if you want something hard enough, you have to go after it. and you all have definitely put in that work. So take my same question. Talk about your journey getting started from March up until now. And I want to pose yours from a different stance because you are a female. And, we have seen in our city more female women, more black girl power, as they call it, stepping up to the forefront. But there's still a lot of, in still places, and y'all know we talk about transparency on this show. A lot of men and women don't feel like that women should hold these positions. So I kind of want you to talk about your journey during this campaign and briefly talk about some of the opposition or things that you may have seen that just kind of like threw you for a loop, so to speak.
Well, like JT, my campaign launched the end of February. We were, out there in March, and it was like a little slow beginning for me in March because when I got like my, my field assignments and 19 neighborhoods, I was like, wow, how I'm gonna do all this stuff by myself. And so, volunteer, the word volunteer has just really just went out the door because when you look at these big races that come in, like the presidential, the congressional races, and these PACs fueling, candidates. These people have money where people have gotten accustomed to being paid to canvas and phone bank or do just grassroots, just deep grassroots. So I really had to, really search out that core team of people that was really, really there for me in that circle. So I was able to, along the way to get some people that just really wanted to see me win and really wanted to support me in all aspects. So, I being the only female in the race, I knew that I had to really strategize and strategically, plan my every move, I can remember going to one day me and my mom went to Wylam. I think I had gotten over into the Wylam community. And before I knew it, I think I was 2 hours in because I canvassed twice a day, in the morning, and then I went back out in the evening. And before I knew it, I had canvassed almost 80 houses in like less than 3 hours. I mean, I was rolling. And like JT, I experienced some of those heartbreaking moments on the trail, seeing people roofs, about to fall in and coming up on porches where it wasn't sturdy, almost about to trip and fall. And just like, does somebody really live here? And people live here. And so just to think and imagine that you have leadership, like JT said, we're not able to solve everything, but I'm sure that these leaders could have went above and beyond to find some type of means of support, to get, these people the things that they needed to repair their homes or whatever we need, or either find a grant program that's out there, to fix these things. But as you stated, men and women, and some men don't want to see, women are, rising up, and we moving and grooving, in high places. And so what I've really experienced in opposition is not really opposition, but like not finding volunteers, just putting old grassroots back into, the equation. But one thing that I really want to highlight is, and I really want to point this out, is what does the word support mean? What does support really look like? Because I think people have really missed the mark on that. And so I'm going to be challenging people, when this election is over. I'm going to continue to tell this journey. As you stated, I got those shoes, and I was going to throw those shoes in the trash can. So I want people, don't get it twisted, because I do have tennis shoes. So I just choose to walk in them shoes because they energize me, and they make me feel like what I know. Every time I look down, you got a purpose, you got a plan, you got to keep rolling. And so I strategically outworked everybody that was on the campaign trail, and so it is what it is. And so, I was going to throw them shoes, and me and JaPaul, we talk about this because them shoes was going in the trash can. And one of my movie partners in Atlanta, she was like, no, don't throw those shoes away. You got to take them shoes with you every time you speak and hold the sole of the shoe. It's got a hole on the top. The soles that, like JT, they running over. You think those are my only shoes. And so she was like, don't throw those shoes away. Those shoes are going to inspire the next generation of leaders. And so I'm going to take those shoes every chance I get. And so to elevate myself and my platform. But this journey will be talked about. And one thing I'm really going to be challenging, you know, especially Black women, what does support really look like? Please look that word up and support, and make sure that you identify support. Identify that word, because we got to really get back to grassroots, all time grassroots, coming out here, walking and standing with people, and making sure that hardworking people fueling your campaign, so you will not be indebted to anybody but the people that you are out here fighting for. And so it's all about grassroots. I just, I'm just grateful to God that, grassroots people have got me to this point and go me over to the winner circle.
I just wanted to piggyback off of that, because you said that we really got to start understand, or people really have to understand what that word support means. And that is so real. Like, that is so real, because on the front end, if I did have to choose I guess, opposition or a moment of challenge, I think I was very surprised at how many people, know my heart, are close to me in relationship. Like, they've seen me work in the community, right? They know who I am and what I'm about, but they were just like, yeah, I can't get out there and canvas with you. Or I can't, donate no money to you, or I can't do this, that, and the third, but I support you. And I'm like, what are you talking? You're not supporting me. Like, there's no way possible that you are. But the moment I made the runoffs, that's when I got all the support. It was like, oh, okay. But it also was just showing me that, okay, this is a different type of arena. And, this is how people move. And so you have to, I'm learning to just look to see, if people's words match up with their actions, because that's how people are going to judge me as well. I can't go out here and, talk about all the great things that I'm going to do and then don't do anything and expect for folks to, trust my word. And so that was something that was very shocking to me and surprising, because, again, people say, oh, I support you, I got you. But it's like, no, support is an action. Support is like doing something. Like, that is a verb. Like, you got to do something. And it's not just lip service. I think I saw somebody post.
Yeah. And JT's frees it up, but hopefully we could get the issue resolved. And Kim Jenny said it, likes on Facebook do not equal support or votes. We'll take JT backstage briefly. And that is true. That is true. And here is a question that my sister Monica put up. I do want to talk about that, and then Tate, I'll flip it to you until we can get JT in. So the question is, can you explain what a runoff means, what causes them? So for everybody who has been doing any type of, even if you've ever lived in Birmingham, we know that our political arena has changed drastically. When we go back to 1999, that was a historic year for Birmingham, because that was the year that former Mayor Richard Arrington, he decided that he was going to retire. And so we do have to keep in mind, in that year, we were only doing mayoral elections separate. The school board and the city council, they were separate as well. And so when he ran in 99, I may be a little off, but I think you had about 14 people running with him. There was a runoff. I think it was with William Bell, and I forgot the other one. But Bernard Kincaid, he walked away with about, in that runoff, you had more people voting again. Let me start there. Because you had about 80,000 people voting. And here's the thing a lot of people don't talk about, and I think we got JT back in. We have more people living in Birmingham now, which we're also going to talk about the importance of voting and how we can get more people consistent in voting. So yeah, and what causes a runoff? Like you said, you had all of these races for mayor, city council, and school board. For those who don't know and you don't follow politics, for city elections, and I'm talking about city elections because the state elections and the national elections with the president, those can kind of be tricky. For everyone who was watching Fox 6, CBS, 3340, NBC, and I think I've named all of them, if you were waiting on your candidate's numbers to troll and they didn't troll, that candidate had to reach 51% of the vote to be declared the winner. If that candidate did not get 51% of the vote, then the second person with the highest numbers, that's how you got into a runoff. So let's focus on the mayor's race for this election. We saw this same thing in 2007 when the late Larry Langford, who was mayor, the only time Birmingham has ever seen a runoff, the only time, and you had more people voting in running in that election. Now you had still same thing with 1999. You had more voters in 2007. You had more people running. He walked away with about 68% of the vote, which was slightly higher than Mayor Whitfin's numbers in this election. So those are how runoffs work. And I would advise you, trust me, it's funny because y'all know me, I watch this show. I never intended to get in politics, but hearing the feedback from you all of how much you enjoyed the candidate forums, this is something we're going to keep doing. So we will do the same thing with our state elections because our people need to be informed. Our people perish for lack of knowledge. And they've taken civics out of the school, but guess what? You have platforms like mine, and you have so many other platforms. Shout out to the Woo 94.9. She keeps us informed. Shout out to Chris Coleman with the Think Tank. These are just a few people. And if I failed to mention you, Lonnie Malone, not necessarily political. These are people keeping us informed because guess what? They say as black folks, we dumb, we uneducated. So y'all start listening to these podcasts. Listen to us. And this is not a plot for you to say you have to listen to me every Monday, but I would encourage you to listen to all of us because we're going to shed light on things you may not know. You may know some things about it. We take the time to research because we always want to bring you factual information. So that's how a runoff works, and that's where we are today. So in this runoff, just to be clear, for the city council, you had a runoff with District 4. You have a runoff with District 9. For school board, you have a runoff for District 1 and you have a runoff for District 9. Those are the only ones. And at the end of the show, what I'll actually do, I'll make the official numbers available for all the races because it's always a good thing to go back and kind of like do a comparison of all those numbers. So now briefly what we're going to do, we're getting into the good stuff. And if you guys have any questions tonight, please post them because this isn't scripted. I didn't want it that way. Like I said, that was the purpose of our candidate forums. Tonight is just laid back. We're having real talk. And we're just talking about a number of things that voters in these districts need to know and what our city needs to know. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to mention topics. And it's so amazing. A lot of you in your districts, you suffer from the same things. So I'm going to name one item that I know is pressing to voters. You have 1 minute, and please try to stay within that 1 minute. I know it's a lot that you could cover, but I do want to cover as much. Very familiar with both of your districts. District 4, I had friends in that district, still have some family in that district. And District 9, LaTonya, I can't say enough. Still have a great aunt that lives in District 9. My grandmother and grandfather lived on 24th Avenue. My dad, my aunt, and uncle were raised in that house. My aunt owns the home to this day. Have an aunt and uncle and a cousin in Westchester. So know a lot about both districts, and those districts need turning around. And I don't endorse anybody. So if you're going to come for me, message me, but you better come right. I'm telling y'all, I have confidence in this great woman and this great man to move those districts. I'm not telling you who to vote for. That's between you, but I do encourage you to research. And we got to stop voting for people just because my homeboy, my homegirl say vote for this. It's time for change, y'all. And change is going to only start when we do our research. So the first question, and we'll go to LaTonya, then we'll go to JT. Again, try to stay within 1 minute. Food desert. Talk about what you're going to do, what District 9 looks like with LaTonya Tate as their counselor, addressing the problem of food deserts.
Well, JaPaul, when I think about a food desert, I think about, North Birmingham. When I was growing up, had two grocery stores that as I mentioned earlier, when Dixie and Consumer Foods, which the Bruno's family was real heavy, in the grocery industry here. And so when we look at Highway 78, that has the 78 Plaza, you that used to be the old food world. So I would definitely we see all these springing up all over, throughout Birmingham. I would definitely be trying to um petition Audis, or get with some developers and just see how that looks to bring like a Audis into that food plaza down there, that grocery plaza, that plaza that's on 78. But making sure that when we bring and approach businesses to come into the district, that they giving something back to the community. So we know we giving something and by shopping there. And so they need to be, I definitely want to challenge, whatever business, which would be a grocery store, to make sure that they're giving back, have a partnership with the community. That means like supporting the schools in the community, doing so much, for the neighborhoods in the community. So when you look at 78, you can easily, in that shopping plaza where the old food world used to be, is try to develop something over there, and then go up the road where the old Kmart used to be, and Dare Champs back in the day, and try to play something, in that Forestdale, Birmingham Forestdale area. So definitely be trying to get with a developer to try and develop and come to a deal, getting Audis. I would love to have Audis in that area.
Okay, and you have a few more minutes because I gave you extra time because I was late starting the timer. Since your district is so big and wide, also as it relates to food deserts, would you be in favor of a food truck park in your district?
Oh, absolutely. I love food trucks. My niece is married to one of the owners of Fat Chris, the taco truck. And so I was just talking to my nephew-in-law about, coming over in North Birmingham. When we see food trucks are traveling everywhere. But I
Mm-hmm.
have a food truck um display in North Birmingham. And so that's one thing that I really want to do. When I look at the Maxway, where the old Yorks, where the Yorks drugstore is, where the police precinct, that parking lot, or even we can easily have something, there. And even with some of the leaders in North Birmingham, Pastor Harabaz with Olivet Church, I'm pretty sure he'll be open to something like that on the church parking lot. And so I just think it's just room, but I'm definitely on board, to bring some food trucks over in North Birmingham like real soon.
Okay, good deal. And I'm going to give you a minute and 15 seconds for each question, so kind of stay within that time. And if you hear the beeper, that means you've reached your max. All right, JT, to you, same question. Also in District 4, food desert is an issue. Let's talk about with on next Tuesday, JT Moore being elected as counselor for District 4. How are you going to address the problem of a food desert? Second part of the question: would you like to see a food truck park in your district?
Yeah. So the first thing that I thought about was, well, first of all, I'll just say this. I totally agree with everything that LaTonya said, like as far as, going out and trying to recruit those different businesses to come to our district, like an Aldi's. But then I also think that 2021, we're in a space where we can reimagine how we do grocery stores and how we do food, period, right? And so I think I was, reading an article about how there's a partnership in Atlanta, I want to say, where they actually put a grocery store inside of a school. And it was an opportunity to have not only, families have access to these foods because they were in a food desert, but then how cool is it that, you ain't got no excuse to be missing no PTA meetings, right? Because you got to come to the same place to get your food and your kid and, these homework assignments. And so it's just an opportunity to reimagine food. UAB, they do a thing where they come over to the Kingston area and they bring fresh fruits and vegetables in a mobile mobile truck. In a mobile truck. Is that me?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right.
Go ahead and briefly ask the question about the food truck part before I restart it.
Yeah, so they pretty much just bring a food truck over, not a well a shopping it's a mobile shopping experience that people have an opportunity to experience in Kingston. And I think that it's good, especially when you think about the transportation issues that we have throughout our city and our districts specifically. And so reimagining how we do grocery stores and how we provide access to food for folks is something that I'm definitely interested in going to do.
Okay, awesome. And y'all can stay on mute if y'all want to, because I hadn't heard any feedback issues. That way, we can continue the conversation. All right, LaTonya, back to you. Where do we want to go next? Neighborhood revitalization. This is something that we talk about a lot. What does that look like for you as city councilor for District 9?
Well, what that looks like for me, when I, like again, walked the 19 neighborhoods and saw a lot of blight, a lot of abandoned properties. Definitely, the city has the land bank, and just like JT said, reimagining what community looks like. If these houses are repairable, you can sell them, to people that's interested in becoming homeowners. I definitely am on board with making sure that um, the land bank program is available, to people that want to become homeowners, because I really think more rooftops in communities make a valuable community. And so I'm all about, making sure we find programs to bring affordable homes. I mean, it's so much, many grant programs. It's just so much out here that you don't even have to try to invent the wheel, just reinvent, what's already out here turning. Like JT spoke, we got to reimagine, what community looks like. You see,
That ain't quick.
All right, JT, back to you. Um, Black-owned businesses. Both of you all, you do have some black-owned businesses in your neighborhoods, and that's a great sign because it does show that black-owned businesses are welcome there. So all of us as black-owned businesses, I know this is a conversation we can have for hours, but District 4, with you as city councilor, what does this look like to you, making District 4 inviting for black-owned businesses?
So one of the first things we have to do is we have to make sure that people are prepared for business. I think, a lot of people, they have a skill, they know how to cook, they know how to clean, they know how to, do whatever. But everybody's not business minded. And so number one, people that come to District 4, I want to make sure that you have the necessary tools to actually run your business, and helping people to really understand this idea of scaling, understanding how to develop systems so that you not only can work in the business, but you can work on the business, right? And then after we have taken people through those steps to make sure that they're prepared, like I think, we can then start to look into brick and mortar. A lot of people want to look into brick and mortar before they even think about all the behind the scenes things that they need to have in place. And one of the things I don't want to happen is I don't want you to, be in over your head and get into a business that, ends up hurting you. And so it's definitely something that I want to make sure that we can create some synergy, especially in the North Birmingham area, and the Woodlawn area, and those different spaces where it's walkable communities or walkable neighborhoods, where you kind of have like a downtown or centralized location that you can create some synergy. So definitely looking into those types of opportunities.
Right, good deal. Same question for you, LaTonya. Black-owned businesses, and before I do that, I do want to highlight our prayers are with the family of Mr. Uh, Joseph Rucker. He was the owner for years of Eagles Restaurant in LaTonya's district in Osipco. And his son JaPaul is actually continuing the legacy with current owner Dolores Bank, who is Jamal's mom. And so our prayers are with that family. And I mentioned that because LaTonya's grandmother, Miss Mary, was actually a long time cook at Eagles. So yeah, and we can talk about Eagles all day, but so let's stick to the question. Black owned businesses in District 9, how does that look for you?
Well, like JT said, I'm all on board. When I think about District 9, and I'm gonna talk about dip into District 4, because my uncle Philip Hatchett Appliances is on L&N City, right by Harriman Park, up until his death. He was a HVAC person, so everybody knew the air conditioning refrigeration man. And so what that looks like for me is I would love to develop like some type of ecosystem, some type of club, as JT said, entrepreneurship, teaching people what does it look like to run a business, how to make sure that you have the proper paperwork when it comes to running your business, making sure that we have somebody there preparing your taxes where you won't, get in trouble with the state, and taking business courses, business class, because we all have great ideas, and some of us are not meant to run businesses, but we can put, some people that we trust, like my grandma, for instance. And you talk about the Eagles, and I'm gonna bring the Eagles up.
All right, next question. Community engagement. And from this question is strictly directed to you because we saw a lot of this in the elections. Citizens want to know how their counselors going to be engaged with the neighbors. Don't just ask me for your vote and then the next time I hear from you, you want me to come to a Christmas party or you want me to come clean your neighborhood up. No. And that was one thing I could say because District 8, that was where I spent a large part of my life. We saw those city councilors in the grocery store. You could have a conversation with them. They were reachable, touchable. They came to our schools, so we saw those. So let's talk about community engagement. I know it goes by quick, but JT, try to tell us how are you going to be engaged with the citizens, letting them know that you're their advocate, you're working together to bring a change to District 4.
So the first thing that I'm going to do is make myself available at our schools. I told people, all the time on the campaign trail is that at the age of 16, you have the opportunity to vote in neighborhood associations, and at the age of 18, you have the opportunity to serve as a neighborhood officers. A lot of our young people don't know that, and so in order for us to create this pipeline of leadership and to really help to build a new generation of young people who understand the importance of serving and the importance of contributing to their community, we got to start in the high schools and getting them involved. But then also these neighborhood associations are, I feel like, an underutilized tool to really get a lot of impact or make a lot of change in our neighborhoods. I've been able to communicate and connect with my neighbors, and we don't wait for a city councilor to tell us, what we need to do as far as, cleaning up our communities or, like doing whatever needs to be done for our neighborhood. We just get out there and do it because we see the responsibility and take ownership of it. Man, that thing moves fast. I can't talk fast enough. I'm sorry. I was just about to get in my bag, man.
Yeah, he doing that on purpose.
I'm trying to get as much in.
Man, that thing 30 seconds long, man. There ain't no minute 15.
Just a minute. Tell your same question for you. Community engagement. What does that look like for you?
Well, JT hit it on the head. JaPaul, me and you have had this conversation. Has to start in these neighborhoods and break up this hierarchy that's going on in these neighborhoods. Making sure what community engagement looks like for me when I'm sworn in as the next city council for District 9 is making sure that we put out a newsletter that's something around District 9 newsletter, making sure that every person in the district has that, knowing what's going on, knowing when your neighborhood meetings are. And I'm also going to have some people in my office that are going to be the constituent liaisons, making sure that we answering emails in 24 hours, not putting people on hold months and months and never hear back. That's going to be a 24-hour turnaround. And so what we've done is we've already got whiteboards and put all 19 neighborhoods in.
Finish your statement.
And I plan to attend neighborhood meetings, which I know some of them are on the same day. So if I go to North Birmingham the second Monday in that month, that means the next month, then I won't go to North Birmingham. I'll be going to another neighborhood. So I plan to make, get myself around to the neighborhood meetings and be available.
Okay. So these last two questions, because they are all of them are important, but these are very important. You have 2 minutes. So this first question, now you know uh, the mayor, uh, Mayor Randall Whiffen is reelected, and then you know the council who you'll be working with. Let's talk about working with the council and the mayor. We're not going to go about the Mayor's Council Act because I think both of you all answered that greatly for the candidate forum. But let's talk about working with the mayor and the city council. And here's what I want everybody to understand. You first have to understand the role of a counselor, because I know I love us as citizens of Birmingham, but some of this stuff y'all be thinking counselors can do. So I want everybody on this platform as an assignment. You need to research. You can Google everything, and don't look up Atlanta. Atlanta and Birmingham are ran totally different. You need to specifically research the duties of a Birmingham City Council. There are things that they can advocate for, but there are some things that they have to work with state leaders to get done. So it's not that the projects can't happen. Their hands are tied at a local level. So with this question, we'll start with JT. You have 2 minutes. Let's talk about working with the mayor and the city council.
I mean, so point blank period, I feel like, the people who are serving on the city council right now, as well as our mayor, I truly believe that they really want to see the city grow, and they really want to see change come to our different neighborhoods and our different districts. And so I foresee me being able to have a great working relationship with each of them in order to advocate for the people in my district. I think that, a lot of the people that are sitting on, or all of the councilors that are sitting there now or in those positions will play team. And, my goal is to make sure that I'm always advocating for my people and just really trying to make sure that nobody forgets or drops the ball when it comes to getting things done in my district. Because I think a lot of times, we'll see where a city councilor will say something one time and then feel like that's it. It's like, no, you need to continue to advocate until it manifests. And that's my philosophy on it. I'm willing to work with whoever in order to make change and to get things done in my district.
See, you still have 43 seconds left. See that?
You should have gave me that time on the other questions.
No. All right. Tate, same question for you. Working with the mayor and the city council.
Well, again, like JT said, I know that I can work with the mayor. I can work with the current people that are holding the seats that got reelected. It's all about reimagining, what communities look like, and making sure that we don't leave any community behind, because we all deserve to live a quality, viable life. Our communities, they deserve to be clean. We need grocery stores. We need the same thing that we see moving, in other places in our communities. And so, that looks like, like JT said, constantly keep on talking about, what you're going to do, and just don't say it one time, but constantly keep saying it till it manifests, until you bring it to fruition. And so I really believe, fresh ideas. Sometimes it takes showing people, something that's working in another city, and you can replicate that to work right here. Because if it worked, where you see, like we talked about the food deserts, I'm gonna go back to that, where I saw in New York, where they had these freezers like you see in convenience stores, where people can go and shop and get food out of it. It was open during the time of the day. So we just got to reimagine stuff. So I'm open for working, with everyone that's down in City Hall, including the mayor. And I just think with great minds and team building and teamwork, we can bring a lot of changes to these underserved neighborhoods.
Good deal. All right, the last question, and if we didn't answer a topic of interest, you could go to their websites. Both of them have amazing websites. They talk about their platform. Just kind of wanted to highlight so you could hear from them in an unscripted way, because I know y'all get tired of answering these same questions in these same forms. So tonight I purposely wanted to make it sort of laid back. So the last question, and you will have 2 minutes for this: crime. We know that that's something on everybody's list. And here's the thing: Crime isn't just a Birmingham thing. It's not just an Alabama thing. It's a nationwide thing. But we know what goes on in Birmingham because we live in Birmingham. So you have 2 minutes. We'll start with you, JT, and you talk about working with the Birmingham City Council and the police department and the mayor's office because it's a partnership. There has to be that type of partnership. And then I'll even go a step further. You need your churches, you need your pastors, you need organizations such as Faith in Action and other organizations that work against crime prevention. It's just it is what it is, and with us trying to exclude these people, we want things to change. Prayer makes a difference, yes, but faith without works is dead. So after I get off my knees and pray, if I'm doing the same thing, my results won't change. So if our city wants things to change, we have to do different. And so working with these all of the organizations I mentioned, let's talk about what you will bring to the table to see a change in crime.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you made mention of those things because a lot of times when you hear politicians talk about like how they're going to address crime, they always give you like this soundbite answer that sounds good, but this is such a very complex subject that there's no one thing that will just completely solve crime except for us all being on the same page. One of my favorite scriptures is in Genesis 11:6 is God talking, and he said that if speaking the same language and of one heart, they have come to do this, then nothing will be impossible for them. And he was talking about the people of Babel building the tower. And he was saying if they're speaking the same language and if they have the same heart, same mind, moving in the same direction, then nothing will be impossible. And I think it's the same with this situation as well. When we think about, the value that our churches add, the value that our business community adds, the value that, the residents in these different neighborhoods, and all of us being on the same page to say, hey, we're going to address crime, from our perspective and our angle. So if that means that, the community has to get more involved in schools, or if we all have to donate more to our nonprofit organizations that are doing the work to help young people to develop conflict resolution skills, or if that means that we have to, put more resources into workforce development, that's what we need to do. And so that's something that all of us have to find our place to get involved. We all have to find a way to contribute. And so my goal will, number one, to be data driven, so that I understand what the data is saying, so that it gives me a clear direction as to where we need to focus our energies. But once we find that out, like we need all hands on deck to really start putting their hands to the plow and getting this work done.
Good deal. All right. Say, you need me to repeat our letter? Did you hear everything I said?
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. So the question was, with you as city councilor for District 9, crime, nobody has a ultimate solution. But I believe that when we all work together with our ideas, we all can drastically see things change. So working with the mayor, city council, your neighborhood presidents, your district, religious leaders, school leaders, business owners, organizations such as Faith in Action, Peacemakers, and I'm sure I'm leaving out some. What ideas can you bring to the table and your experience? And I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you 3 minutes because you worked in the prison. And so this is a strong point of yours. So, all right, take it away.
Well, corrections. I didn't work inside of the prisons. I did go into the prisons to talk to those that were going to be released. So probation and parole is totally different. It's law enforcement. Carry a weapon. You can arrest
Gotcha.
people. So I did a 8 to 5 job. So day job basically. But when I look at crime, we have to reimagine crime, because you cannot hyper police and arrest poverty, or hyper police poverty, or you got to come up with solutions. We don't, when we look around the country and we see things that that other people are doing, a lot of this stuff is replication. It's not hard to figure out. And so when I think about crime, I think about Compton, California, when they had, you know, a big crime problem. But they did there was they offered people that had they did a study, people that was being arrested, going to jail. They put them in this program where they was able to complete a program, and all of their crimes were pardoned. So pretty much like Mayor Wolfen did, you know, continue the pardon process. And so when you look at the manufacturing companies that we have with the second chance fairs that, you know, our DA Danny Carr is doing, the jails not the jobs for jails program that the sheriff is doing. You have to really put people in position and meet them where they are. Because when you look at what's going on now, you cannot continue to be tough on crimes. Alabama is in a crisis right now. You got the governor in the state of Alabama talking about spending $400 million of the CARES Act money to build two new mega prisons, 4,000 beds, and each one 8,000. If they get these prisons off the ground, they're gonna already go in at 125% capacity. So what problems are you solving? And so when you talk about the peacemakers, and when you talk about, you know, the pastors and working with people that have taken this training, this violent interruption, you have to sometimes go back and get your OGs that went to prison and that's out here got. When I think about, you know, my brother Milton King, the organization Determined to Be, a brother that, you know, that went down that road, but just coming back, making some extravagant moves in the community, raising young men up to be extravagant men. Sometimes we have to go back to the streets and get people that know the streets to turn things around. So I'm all for, like JT said, the data and getting out here, rolling my sleeves up and making it rip, especially being the mother of a formerly incarcerated. So I know what that looks like.
Absolutely. All right, very good. So what we're gonna do now, we did have some more questions to come in. Gonna go ahead and get you all to answer them. The first question is from Ms. Kim Genty. How do we activate the 140,000 plus registered voters that sit on the bench every municipal elections? JT, before you answer that, I'm going to ask it again, and I really want y'all to let this sink in. How do we activate the 140,000 plus registered voters that sit on the bench every municipal election? All right, go ahead, JT.
So what I'm learning is people like to be a part of something that has momentum and something that's moving and winning, right? In a perfect world, I would be able to figure out like how to get each and every one of those people to vote. But the truth of the matter is they not. And the reason I know is because I went out and knocked on several doors. And I'll be honest with you, I was upset at the low voter turnout rate. And in my mind, I was thinking, oh, well, they just need a chance. They just need a chance. They just need to know. And that wasn't the case. Some people just do not want to vote. Like I literally had people tell me like, I'm not voting because I don't see the importance of it. And it don't matter. Like you ain't gonna do nothing but lie. And so what my goal is now is to rebrand, you know, what it looks like to be involved in politics. No longer should it be, you know, that's a politician. This really is ministry. But we've had a lot of people to taint it. And so I think once people are able to see that this really does affect my life and they understand how they can get involved and how they can make change and how they can contribute, then I think more people will get active. And that's how you get people activated. People need hope. And a lot of people have lost it. We've had a lot of folks who've served in these positions and lied to folks, you know, and who've betrayed people. And so in their minds, they're just like, look, it don't matter, you know, who is serving. They need to see change and we need to restore hope. And so that would be my only, I guess, plan of action to get those 140,000 activated is to restore hope.
Good deal. All right, LaTonya.
Wow, thank you, Kim, you know, for this question. JaPaul, you know, you and I have had this conversation, and JT just knocked it out the park, you know, knocking on doors, people feeling hopeless and just know that they're not a part of the democratic process. and just being left out. But one thing that I really want to do across the district is do a civics boot camp, because I've noticed that a lot of people don't understand government, and that's where we have to start it. JT mentioned early on the schools and reimagining, what that looks like, increasing the neighborhood participation, reimagining what a neighborhood meeting looks like, getting people to participate in and we see it sweeping the country, participatory process, participatory budget, to make people feel like they are part of something. And so when you look at the low voter turnout, 140,000 people that did not vote, and we talked about this, JaPaul, that, in the low voter turnout, I want to do, and I'm not going to reveal what I do, but I am going to, you're going to be seeing it float on Facebook, an event that I plan to do throughout District 9. And that's just going through out there, meeting people where they are. You can't go in no district with your red bottom shoes on and your New York, your Jones New York suit on, acting like you more than people, then pulling up, in a Tahoe and people opening doors for you. That's just not going to work, because people want to be able to trust you. It's all about building trust and teaching civics and understanding the democratic process and why it's important to vote local. Because what people don't realize, when you sitting out local, we going through a redistricting right now.
Absolutely.
Going through redistricting. And so you sitting out locally, the lines getting drawn, we're going to lose some stuff here. Absolutely. And so we got to really teach, people what this is all about and why it's super important, because it don't start from the top and come down. It starts down and go up. And this is how your resources are driven back. And so that looks like going to these communities, teaching a civics boot camp, and not just to the young people, but these elders. Some people, don't understand this process. Well, I think the number one goal is to build trust. And once you build that trust and go in these communities, just like you one of the home girls or the home brothers or the home sister, people don't respect that. People are going to respect that. And then that trust mechanism starts. And then you can ease people into this democratic process and why it's so super important to vote locally. Because had you had that 140,000 votes, you would have saw something totally different on August the 24th. So we plan to go out there and change that.
Absolutely.
And can I say something too, though, to just add to that? Because I know I had a lot of people, that were seniors that were just like, man, we got to get these young people in here to vote, and we got to get them, at the polls. And it's a shame that they're not coming, right? But I think that we have to stress that importance at a very, very early age. Like we can't just wait until they turn 18 and then expect them to understand the importance of voting or the importance of getting involved in civic engagement. And so I think that, even engaging young people, in elementary school, so that it's something that's top of mind, so that by the time they get to 18, there is something that they're excited about doing. And we have to make it exciting. It's a lot of people that I know are just set in their ways. But I do see the opportunity that we have to, again, create a generation of young people, or just bring in a generation of people who understand that importance, and really take it serious.
Absolutely.
JaPaul, let me say one thing that you move on. Let me just tell the listening audience, also the formerly incarcerated community. Let's not sleep on those. Okay, Alabama has a problem with pardons, and that's not by accident, it's by design. When you think about the 8,500 people that can be pardoned in this state, think about those people turning into registered voters. So we definitely need to be mobilizing the formerly incarcerated individuals. And that's why it's super important to get involved with organizations like myself, these grassroots organizations, moving policy around voting for formerly incarcerated, even people on probation and parole, making sure that we graduate these people off and getting their rights back restored. So a lot of hard work that we got to do. But once we get these moving parts, in place, and get certain people trained to work on this part and certain people trying to work on that part, I think we can see a fluctuation of people in the democratic process.
Absolutely. Totally agree. All right, the last question. And what I want to do, Tate, I want to do something different because you do have only one son. So I want to start with you on this. And by you working with the pardons and paroles as a correction officer. Mr. Patrick Lacey, how do we reach our young men concerning gun violence?
Well, I think that's going to look like when you got people like Faith in Action, peacemakers, people that have been trained, into, gun violence and violent, crimes. And when you think about violent reduction, so that's something that's just not going to happen overnight. That's just going to take, time. But once we get these programs, the program is activated and funding, people don't have the funding to really get out here and just, make their programs work like they need to. So we really need to be trying to make sure that we giving people the resources that they need to operate their nonprofits, their programs. I just got off a meeting with some founders, so people are reimagining what it looks like. And one of my questions was, why y'all not driving funds to the state of Alabama? People are doing the work, but you cannot do work on limited resources. It just won't allow it. So I think that's something that, as a counselor and the city, we need to be looking at how we drive these resources into these individuals that have been trained, to interrupt gun violence or programs to, help with gun violence.
All right, JT.
Yeah, so in addition to, developing these programs, like I really think that we have to take an active role as communities to really just talk to our young people, like and not be afraid of them. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to along this campaign trail that are afraid of, the people that live right here in our neighborhoods, and rightfully so. I could completely understand it. But I also know that there are those who are not afraid and who can meet them where they are. And I think that we have to expose them to new opportunities because, yeah, we have to expose them to new opportunities that, and a new, I guess, perspective on life, because some of them, for the most part, have not experienced or been able to, partake in things that will pique their interest, that will not push them down this path of violence and, high risk activities. And so, yeah, just really trying to find ways to expose them to more opportunities, and then, being able to put them around people who truly do care about them and want to see the best for them. So,
all right, good deal. So that concludes the we're almost done, but I didn't tell either one of y'all about this. We're gonna bring back something that I started latter part of last year when we started these, and we do it from time to time. This is what we call our hot fry question. So we know it's nothing like some good old hot French fries, fresh out that deep fryer. You put whatever seasons on there. Some eat it with Cajun ranch, some eat it with ketchup. You know you like those hot fries. So with these questions, I'm gonna give each of you a question. We'll start with Tate. We'll go back and forth that way. Don't overthink it. Whatever comes to your mind. I don't want a long drawn out answer for some of these questions. Are simple, just to give the audience a chance to know more about you outside of the council candidate. All right, so let's hit it. Take LA or Detroit?
LA.
All right, JT, LA or Detroit?
San Diego.
Okay, we'll take that. All right, take chicken or fish?
Fish.
All right, JT.
Let me get that bird, man.
Take flight or road trip?
Flight.
JT.
Hey, let me get that flight.
All right, so of course, Tate, this is for you. Girls trip or day with your fiance?
Day with fiance.
All right, and JT, for you, day with the fellas or day with your wife?
Yeah, I'm definitely going with my wife.
All right. Tate, brother or sister? Say it again.
Brother.
Okay. JT?
All right. So, like, in what context? I'm gonna say my brother. I'm gonna say my brother.
Okay. So you must have sisters too. I got you. I got you.
I got 6 of them.
Well, see, that's what I wish I had, but I'm the only boy out of 3. I have 2 others. So, all right, Tate, would you rather go back in time or be frozen in time? Why?
I would rather go back in time. Why? Because I enjoyed, my younger years. We could play in the streets, so the street lights came on. Your grandmama sitting on the porch on Saturdays. I remember riding my granddad at Chrysler, going to the farmers market, coming back with them watermelons. That's just some exciting times. Oh yeah, of course, going back in time, running next door to my auntie house, getting some.
I cut it. Listen, for District 9, one thing I can tell y'all, Tate is gonna advocate for y'all. Kate just don't walk it, but as you can tell tonight, she talks to it.
Oh man.
All right, 13.
Yeah, look, I'm going back in time so I can go ahead and invest in Facebook, Google, Amazon, like Bitcoin, all that. Yeah. So I'm going, and then do all the other stuff, eat bebops and whatnot. But
Absolutely. Most definitely. Man, this generation don't know what bebops are.
they don't.
I know.
They don't.
Frozen Kulo. No, ma'am, no, sir. It's a bebop.
All right.
So I want to thank both of you for joining, being a part of tonight's show. We've definitely had a great time. So we're going to put up information on how you can reach both candidates, because what people don't understand, as they both said, a lot of times they don't have the donations that the more well-known candidates get. So when we put their websites up, you can actually still donate to their campaigns. So here's LaTonya's website, tateforbirmingham.com. You can learn more about her platform. And then I'm also going to post after the show so you'll know what districts you represent, because some of you may not realize you living in her district. I hope by now you know that. Hopefully you learned that when you voted. So hopefully we not, but I know a lot of times people outside of the districts, they want to know what your district covers. So that's her website. She's also on Facebook, Tate for Beham. Instagram is also Tate for Beham. This is the number that you could call. I'm going to leave that up for a moment if some of you want to take that down. Tate reached out to me earlier today. She's still in need of people who want to help her hit these homes with last minute canvassing. She's in need of people to work the polls on next Tuesday. So if you are interested, you can call this number or text this number. You can leave a message or text it. And I'm sure, because I know Tate stays on her folks, somebody will reach out to you within 24 hours to get you squared away. And then JT, that is his district, more for 4. I like that. Yeah.
It just rings.
Yeah. And then the Facebook page, JTM Moore for District 4. And then get a number for you, but is there a number where people can reach you if they want to do last
Yes. So you can reach me at 205-202-9134. Go straight to my phone. If you text me or call me, like, you'll get me. Like.
All right, good deal. So again, I want to thank both of you for being on tonight. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you our 1 minute of closing remarks, and we'll prepare to end for tonight, starting with Tate.
Well, JaPaul, again, thank you for having me, sharing this platform with my brother, JT. I'm looking to do some great things, with this great brother in District 4 and 9, partnering, on some things, getting this side of the spectrum going. I want to encourage people, like you said, go to tateforbirmingham.com, look up our platform, and make sure that you go out and vote. On October the 5th, vote for LaTonya Tate, your next city councilor for District 9. It's time to turn around District 9, and we're ready to, turn it around and do some great things for the people. So we super excited, about in this race, even getting to the runoff, where people, doubted that I would never make it here. But, God had a different plan. I know he didn't bring me this far to, to not finish this process. So I'm trusting him October the 5th, and we will be victorious on that day. So thank you again for having me.
Absolutely. All right, JT.
Yeah, so JaPaul, thank you again for having me on tonight. I feel the same way, LaTonya. Like, I'm looking forward to working with you because I just know we're going to be a dynamic duo out here, really making a difference in Birmingham. And so I just want to encourage everybody again to go out and vote on October the 5th. And don't just go yourself, take a friend, take somebody with you, if you're not doing anything throughout the week, make sure that you, like LaTonya said, man, go volunteer. Don't just say you support with your mouth. Like, show some action. Get out there and, hit these streets. Knock on some doors, talk to some folks, have discussions about, all the reasons why we are two candidates that should be in those seats. And so I just want to say thank you to each and every person that did vote for me, even the people that slammed their door in my face. I appreciate you too. And I just, I'm looking forward for a good turnout on October the 5th. And yeah, excited about it. We're gonna speak it into existence already that we in there. So
Amen. Awesome. Before we conclude tonight, I've already done it, but I wanted to do it again for everybody who ran city council, school board, mayor. If things didn't turn in your favor, don't give up. We had a lot of phenomenal candidates running, and just stay in it. And what God has for you, nobody can take away. That's not up for debate, but at the same time, you have to put in that work. So to everybody who ran, job well done. And I'm saluting these two because they've commented. If you were on and you done comment, charge it to my head and not my heart. Cam Genty, kudos to you. And Lonnie Malone, kudos to you. And these are two Birmingham that we definitely will hear from in the future. And get ready to tune in next Monday, same time, same place. As always, you can find out more information about our website, divinevisionent.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I want to close with this quote tonight as we prepare to end. People fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other. And that's from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. As always, keep the faith. And we are covering both of you candidates according to Psalms 91 that you all are covered under the shadow of the Almighty. And I'm in agreement with both of you. We're already speaking into existence according to what you have spoken, that next Tuesday things will turn out in your favor. As always, keep the faith, and we will see you next Monday. Have a great evening.
Bye. Have a good one.
thank you.